What you need in the building? It's early in the morning. Hope everybody's having a good day. Let me unplug this phone. Cool. Talk is cheap. Boxing's a doing sport. It's not a talking sport. All right. And what we're seeing with some of the elite fighters out here is a lot of them doing a lot of chirping. Let's see the action behind it, and then we can really take them seriously, right? Now, I'm looking at Mayweather, man. This man ain't doing no talking right now. This man just working. I watch him working with a squad of young fighters and guys who are not even fighters, but they just be doing that exercise routine, going through the routine in boxing. I love it. I love it. I love it a lot. And on top of that, Javante Davis definitely putting in the work. I just watched the sparring session he had with a really good sparring opponent. Oh my God. Sorry about that. A very nasty reflux that just happened. Damn, almost choked me. But anyway, going on what I was saying. Whoa, it was super nasty. Mm. Hadn't happened to me in a long while. A burst of stuff just came up from down below. Whoa, my hair's not combed properly. Okay. Anyway, like I said, talk is cheap. So it was nice to see the instructions that the corner was given to Javante, as well as it was good to see this longer, taller guy putting in that work. I mean, it was really good work watching Javante on the back foot against a longer, stronger fighter who knew how to box and use his jab. It was really good stuff. um, you know, boxing is a really cool sport. It's really cool to watch. It's cool to do too if you have a certain mindset, but it's much more dangerous when you're doing it. I mean, and it just reminded me because what his corner was instructing him to do was basically go to the body of the guy. And that's easy to say, it's not easy to do, right? And I really like when a fighter is actually pushed, that the guy that he's in with, he can't just blitz out of there. He has to think about how he's going to get to this guy. The guy's good enough to have him really work on his game in a serious way. A lot of people feel that sparring is about beating up guys. No, sparring is to push you. It's supposed to push you to be better. So if, I was listening to some people talk about how, Jaleel Hackett, he got, dropped by Antoine Russell. But listen, if you're getting good work, that work could overwhelm you. Sometimes it can get the better of you. There's nothing wrong with that because it's going to push you once you're not physically damaged, or even collecting an ass whooping. I remember Shakur Stevenson saying Terrence Crawford just whooped his ass bad. Gives you a sense of how serious a sport can be, how a guy could be taking it easy on you to help you learn something, but if he wanted to, he could just really beat you up really bad and mess you up really bad. And so what a lot of people don't understand about the sport is it's a tough sport. And if you're not mentally tough, you can't make it through them ass whoopings. Muhammad Ali, when he first came into boxing, was getting his ass beat by everybody, but he had tenacity, he had drive, and as a young guy, he would not be deterred. Okay. And I'm not saying this is so for everybody in boxing. Some people, they don't get ass whoopings like that. But my point is, if you don't have that mentality, like a boxer. It's just talk. I've been guilty of it as a fight fan, talking about, this boxer didn't do that, this boxer didn't do that. I even talked about this boxer career is over after, he's done. And you don't listen, man. These boxers, what they do in sparring and shit, sometimes it's worse than what happened in a fight. Some of them get beaten so bad in sparring. They got beat up so bad in sparring, and they come back because in boxers' minds, getting knocked down or even knocked clear out. Okay, we saw it in uh Madrimov's fight where he basically knocked the guy clear out. Right, he would have gotten counted to 10, and it would have been it. But because he bumped the guy with the shoulder as he was tackling him, the guy got an extra, and the guy dusted off. He got his head, cobwebs in his head cleared, and he fought all the way to the finish line, right? And what you got to understand is that's boxing. That's boxing, right? A lot of motherfuckers out there that get knocked out cold. But if you're not getting knocked out cold for the majority of your fights in your career, I think about Thomas Hearns. I think about him now. He's suffering some post-fight injury and illness. But Tommy Hearns was a hell of a fighter. Okay, so he got starched about 3 times in his career, knocked out. That's a hell of an accomplishment. Think about it. Guys getting knocked out in a ring only 3 times in 60 something, 70 something, 50 something fights. It's not bad. All right? It's not bad. And what a lot of people have to understand is that's a part of boxing. These guys bred for that. And the cool thing about Thomas Hearns, he didn't get knocked out back to back. Right? It wasn't back to back knockouts. And the guys with careers, you know what I need to do? I need to show you guys what the average career in boxing is. I'm gonna show y'all what the average fighter goes through in boxing, because the average guy in boxing don't make it that far. And they definitely don't have them kind of records. We're looking at the elite, the best of the best of the best, who have records like that and face the kind of opposition they do. And the line of error, the line for making mistakes where you get badly damaged or knocked out, is actually a very fine line. But even so, a lot of guys get trained on that fine line so they know what to do in certain situations. But it's a pretty fine line when you get up there. But these guys know what to do up there at that level. A guy like me, if I was to go into the pros, for example, and start fighting, depending on my opposition, I either win my first fight or lose it, right? But at the end of the day, I'm never ever going to reach that fine line that those other guys have reached. And I'm not trying to limit myself. I'm just being a realist. You see what I'm saying? Because and the form that these guys have. So I'm not gonna kid myself on that. But at the same time, as I work on my craft and I work on different things to try and improve myself, I can appreciate what these guys do. Right. So I just wanted to say that because a lot of us talk about boxing. Cecilia Brækhus did something phenomenal. Cecilia Brækhus is one of the few fighters who also has a winning consecutive championship wins that matches Joe Louis. She was about to break Joe Louis's record in terms of consecutive championship wins. That's a tremendous accomplishment. Tremendous, tremendous accomplishment. I don't know. Not known as, I would say, were you know um, world champions, or the top of the top of the top. But she still did her thing. You know what I mean? And she was undisputed, and she fought as an undisputed champion. For a significant number of fights, 26 championship fights. She matches Joe Louis, Floyd Mayweather. The only difference between her, Joe Louis, and Joe Louis, her versus Floyd Mayweather is Floyd Mayweather never lost, or he never stopped winning. He just kept on winning, right? But it's still crazy. It's still crazy that she's matched that. The other person who has matched Joe Louis's record in history, with 26 undefeated fights, not 26 championship wins, but 26 consecutive undefeated fights, is a fighter named Ricardo El Finito Lopez. Okay, he's the guy that matched it in terms of being undefeated. But we don't care about undefeated. We're looking at championship wins. We're not talking about successful championship defenses. We're talking about championship wins. And the only people now in the history of boxing to have done that is Cecilia Brækhus. And she did it authentically. She did it in her own weight class. So she did it in a welterweight. Unlike Floyd Mayweather, who didn't have a successful 25 successful championship defenses, he could never make that claim. She could make the claim that she had 25 successful championship defenses consecutive, matching that of Joe Louis. And while Joe Louis is a heavyweight and all of that, nobody else in history has matched that or surpassed it, as far as I do know. We've seen some remarkable things, but she has beaten back Henry Armstrong. Henry Armstrong had, I think, it was 19 successful or 18 successful championship defenses. I think it was 19. 20. He had he in his 20th fight he lost to Fritzy Zivit, but you know that's still a remarkable feat. And that's why he is the number one welterweight in the world and the greatest welterweight in the world, in my opinion, a welterweight champion in the world. Sorry, because he did that phenomenal thing. She can be considered one of the top welterweights in the world as well, because she surpassed what Henry Armstrong has done. She may not have necessarily the caliber opposition he did, but she holds the record for that for welterweight, man or woman, man or woman. That's a crazy accomplishment, man. So I mean, there's a lot of things that a lot of people don't realize in boxing, and I'm just saying, a lot of times we want to just tear down fighters and we want to talk them down, because Cecilia Brækhus at 38 ain't facing Clarissa Shields who's 20, like what, 24, 23, 25. She's at the end of her career. She had a hell of a freaking career, man. She was about to break Joe Louis's record, and it just didn't happen for her against Jessica McCaskill. It didn't happen for her. I still haven't seen the fight. I would like to see it. It looks like she was ready to sort of to just kind of call it a day, and maybe she'll retire from boxing. Maybe she won't. Um, but hell of a career she had, and a lot of people just don't. I was shocked. I didn't expect Jessica McCaskill to beat her because I know Jessica McCaskill's style, and she didn't pose the kind of problems for Katie Taylor. Katie Taylor was trying to figure out the style, and I thought that Cecilia Brækhus was figuring out the style. So that's why I didn't understand how Jessica McCaskill actually beat her. And I think the commentary team for DAZN also thought that Cecilia Brækhus had took that one, but apparently it wasn't. It wasn't the case. But it was a competitive fight. I think I'll have to actually get to see the entire. I still haven't seen the entire fight. But from what I understand, I mean, she's done some remarkable things, and she came across the United States. She's fought a couple times over here on HBO and then on DAZN. Um, but we'll see. We'll have to see what happens with Cecilia Brækhus, what she wants to do. She wants to fight on, or fight a couple more fights and then call it a day. But she's had a hell of a career. She's had a hell of a career, and she's gonna go down in the history books. She's gonna go down in the history books. She's definitely gonna be a Hall of Famer. If they don't haven't opened the door for yeah, I believe she's probably gonna be a boxing Hall of Famer as well. So it's just crazy. She's a pioneer, paved the way for women's boxing. It leads me to a couple points that I just wanted to talk about. I saw that Ava McKnight, she talked about how she was only paid $10,000 uh, when she won the IBF championship at I think it was super bantamweight, and then she was paid for her first defense $4,000. God damn, that's just The gap is so huge. You know what I mean? Tommy Temper says, "Damn, did you sleep last night?" Yeah, I did. I did. I did. Yeah, I'm a bit messed up in my face. If you look at me, yeah, I did sleep last night. What's up, man? How you doing? Hope everything's going well for you right now. The time's somewhere around 11 a.m. I'm guessing. Yeah, so Avid McKnight, man, women's boxing got to get up to speed because in women's MMA, they up to speed with the men. And women's boxing, now they're having the same belts finally. You're just working ATM. What does ATM mean? Tommy Temper in the building, y'all. Hey, if you wanna chop it up with me, we could do a stream and chop it up. But yeah, Alvin McKnight. I can't believe that women's boxing is so backward. Like that's the most backward of all of them. We have women's MMA that's doing all everything like the men. You know, everything like the men at the moment. Oh, okay. Oh, good, good. I'm happy to hear that. In this COVID-19, you're still working. That's what I'm talking about, brother. Yeah. And if your channel's up, let me know, man. I'll pop up on your channel as well. Um, yeah. So women's boxing's got to pick it up, man. They got to pick it up. Promoters, everybody needs to play their role in this stuff because men men don't get paid drag money like that. You don't have a championship fight and you get paid 10,000, 10 grand. That's it. Oh, come on, man. I mean, it's better than nothing, but still, 10 grand. That's all you get. That's why she probably move across to the MMA. I'm just saying, man. People need to like women's boxing being treated like it's trash, and it's been around for a good minute. And that ain't right. It ain't right. And people talk about viewership and television. I was like, get them on the fucking TV. Get them on the TV. You know, that's not their fault that they're not on the TV. You guys are not putting them on the TV, and they have, for the casual fan, it's the kind of fights, more exciting fights for the casual fan, not for me, but more exciting fights for the casual fan than some of the man bouts. And then they already got these short rounds, these 2 minute rounds. You want to give them 3 minute rounds. I mean, why the fuck? I mean, sorry about the curse word. I don't understand why. And somebody gonna have to explain this to me. Why women have 2 minute rounds? Oh, their heads get damaged and stuff. That's bullshit. Because in MMA, they strike just like men. In MMA, they get hit to the ground just like men. Okay, so that's bullshit. Okay, there are mixed studies on that, and I'm gonna say this: people trying to push a sexist dogma on women, and these women are not your typical woman. Okay, your typical woman is not a warrior like that. Okay, the typical man is not a warrior like that. These are guys. These are people who go to fucking war. So why is it you telling them 2 minute rounds, but then they go and spar and they're getting their head bashed in anyway in sparring? I don't understand it. Because they're gonna spar, okay, and they're gonna fuck up each other. So what's the difference? And these are the kind of things that a lot of people don't think about. Like they like, oh, okay, 2 minute rounds will preserve them. That's for the fight night. When they're sparring, they spar all kinds of minutes. All right, they don't just do 2 minutes. You're gonna have to regulate their sparring too. That's bullshit. So they're warriors. That's why they came into the sport. They have a certain kind of mindset. This is what they need to do, compensate them for that. They need to be compensated. And don't tell me, oh, well, the people don't want to see them because that's bullshit. When I look at the fights, they look good. And the box is getting better too. They're not just scrapping like back in the days with Ali and Fraser and Wolf and they, okay? They're not scrapping anymore. They're starting to box, okay? And they have different styles, and you can see the different styles, okay? Senicia Estrada is going to be a very exciting boxer because she switch hits. She's got power. She got speed. She's a little sloppy, but she's tightening up her game. You can't expect women's boxing. You can't expect women's boxing to be at the standard of men's boxing since women haven't been boxing that long. Okay, compared to the men. Men have been like they had 100 years of boxing professional behind them. The women were boxing all the time, but not professionally, right? So you can't expect that. That's kind of like bullshit right there. They now are going to the Olympics and all of that. So you can't expect that. But you still need to commensurate by paying them for their exciting fights. Clarissa Shields is like a trailblazer right now. And Katie Taylor. Amanda Serrano has been lost in the she's been lost in the whole thing, but she's also accomplished a lot of shit, and she's also a very exciting fighter. Okay, Heather Hardy was the one that was pushing hard in New York. She can't scrap. She's now learning how to box. You know, she could scrap, but she don't know how to box. Right? She was featured because of an exciting fight. She's like a Arturo Gatti kind of like character, except Gatti could box much better than her. You know, but Amanda Serrano has skills. Ava McKnight, she scrapped it a little bit, but she have some skills. We got a bunch of them, you know. We got a bunch of women boxers and southpaws and all kinds of things up in there, but we can't get to see them featured because a lot of times they will not televise. The Zone is now doing their job to do that, and I hope the Zone stays into the picture, you know, because I support the Zone. I support every one of them. ESPN, the Zone. We need to have these networks out there, Showtime and PBC. I support all of them. All right. People try to talk bad about the Zone and try to get them out of the game, but the Zone's gonna stick around. We got to support the Zone. You know, PBC. People have been trying to bash PBC, particularly, even though their content has been continually superior to anything ESPN has ever put on their telecast. The only things that ESPN have for them, I'm just talking facts here. It was it was the light heavyweight championship between Bitabiev and Gvozdyk, the Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder fight, in which Deontay Wilder actually did his contract, which it was a co-main event with Fox. Okay, so I mean co transmitted event with Fox, and then we also had they had Lomachenko Luke Campbell last year. Okay, those were the three big things. Showtime had so much shit last year. It's not funny. Right? We had the Pacquiao versus Broner. We had the Pacquiao versus Thurman. We had the Errol Spence versus Showtime Show and Porter. We had Errol Spence versus Mikey Garcia. We had on Showtime we had the Charlos, when the Charlo Harrison 1, Charlo Harrison 2. We had um what do you call it? It was in the lighter weight divisions, right? Because we have all the welterweight stars as well and super welterweight. We had J Rock versus that kid. What's his name? I forgot what his name is. Jarrett Hurd. You know, it was hot. It was really hot because PBC got a lot of super welterweights. The super welterweight division is almost dominated by PBC, and the welterweight division is almost dominated by PBC. Right? The Zone's got the middleweights. Okay, the middleweight division. They got the Triple G. They had Billy Joe Saunders in the weight. They got Danny Jacobs, who's now at super middleweight, and they got Demetrius Andrade. Okay, then Derevyanchenko went across and had a fight with them, and he's a PBC fighter, right? So I mean, it's just like the PBC really has some stuff when it comes to welterweight. That's their thing. They got the main guys, the main players there. For some reason, fucking Terrence Crawford, who's with ESPN, don't want to play ball with PBC. Everybody else is playing ball, right? Look at Artur Beterbiev. He crossed across the top ring to get that fight with Gvozdyk. And then he's going to cross across. Maybe he'll have it on ESPN, or maybe have it on the Zone. And he wants to fight with Bivol. You see what I'm saying? So fighters not crossing the fields because Al Heyman will allow you to do that. Fighters initiate that. And right now, FFA, Ajaba FA, I think is FFA. He crossed across the top ring. Al Heyman managed. You know what I'm saying? So, or maybe he's not Al Heyman managed. Maybe he's the other guy that worked with Al Heyman. Whatever it is, he's able to make those decisions because Al Heyman don't hold on no fighter. However, Bob Arum and fucking ESPN got Terrence Crawford in their clutches. He can't move no fucking where. Okay, he got a long. That's his fault, but he got a long contract with ESPN and with fucking Top Rank, which is stupid. You must be able to move, have mobility to go wherever you want to go, and your managers so that you easily can make whatever fights you need to make. Deontay Wilder was easy for him to make a fight um with fucking uh with Tyson Fury. You know why? Both times. Because he not hold down by Showtime. He's not hold down by Fox. He not hold down by nothing. You know? His manager is I think Al Haym is one of his managers, but I think his other manager is Shelly Finkel. It allows him to go wherever the fuck you want to go. And Finkel's good with Al Heyman. Finkel's good with everybody. So it was just easy for him to just transition, get his fight with Tyson Fury. If he wants to fight with AJ, he can do whatever he wants. So I'm surprised that Terrence Crawford would lock himself down to, first of all, ESPN, and then lock himself down to Bob Arum. So the other guys, they gotta kind of like float around and come to them. That's Al Heyman. That's Bob Arum's mojo. And then they say Al Heyman don't do nothing. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Al Heyman has fighters everywhere. He manages fighters. That's what he do. He not a promoter. He manages. Danny Jacobs was with Lou DiBella. I don't know who Danny Jacobs is with now. Maybe he's a free agent, whatever. But he was with Lou DiBella. Derevyanchenko, they say he wasn't managed by Al Heyman. Maybe not, but Al Heyman made it possible for Derevyanchenko to face Triple G. And the guy who was managing him said that. It's Al Heyman that worked out the logistics of it. Al Heyman allows fighters to do whatever the fuck they want to do. Okay? That's why Keith Thurman be calling out now Terrence Crawford. But I don't take Keith Thurman's word. Like I said, some of these guys just be chirping. They're not really. Kell Brooks calling out Terrence Crawford as well, which is good. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying is that the freedom to do what you want is more with Al Heyman than it is with any one of these other guys. As much as they want to make it sound like Al Heyman don't do business with Top Rank and ESPN, that's bullshit. Otherwise, if that's the case, then Deontay Wilder wouldn't be doing no shit with he ain't gonna be doing nothing with Tyson Fury. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't have nothing to do with Tyson Fury. And he a top elite guy. So of course Al Heyman works whatever you want to work with. He make it happen. It's up to the fighters, and it's also up to the other promotional company what demands they want to make. And sometimes Al can't work with those guys because it's so hard. Bob Arum is not an easy guy to work with, as much as he's saying so. He got something against Al or something. I don't know what's his deal, but it's hard to make deals with Top Rank and ESPN. They make deals with DAZN. They get their fighters across to DAZN. They have gotten fighters across with ESPN working with Top Rank, but it's not. They had to go across to ESPN and Top Rank to make the fights. And I'll understand some of these fighters want Top Rank and Bob Arum want to sign fighters so he could promote them to make the fights happen. And folks be like, no. They gotta stay a free agent if you want to do a contract for one thing or whatever sort. But you ain't signing me to your company. And some other fighters say, yeah, okay, sign me to company. Let me get it in. You know what I mean? Elite Alvarez did that and for the rematch, and it didn't work out for him with Sergey Kovalev. But a little bit more for people to understand. I was listening to the trainer for Triple G and also for Badou Jack, and he was talking about he started his whole career signed as a company. When he finally merged with promotional companies, he had his own promotional company. So he made himself a brand. That's when we talk about branding yourself. So you're a business. That way, he was able to maneuver not just as a fighter, which had no fucking clout, but as a company. You see, and that's what they mean by branding yourself and stuff like that. So, boxing is a beautiful business in the sense that when you learn the ins and outs of boxing, and that's what Floyd's trying to get these younger fighters to understand. But Floyd also wants some guys who never did box in their life to appreciate the sport as well, so we can have more educated fans on boxing. Because that bullshit that they talk about with Floyd Mayweather, just for me, it's Andrew Ward even say it, but it don't have to stay that way. The key is to educate the fans. That's why What You Need came into the picture. You know, to this day, people debate, Floyd's TBE status as he claims himself to be, and all the facts are right there, standing in front of him, and you can even watch the fights and see that. But for some reason, people ignore all of that, and they're trying to say that he's not what he claims he is, which doesn't make no damn sense. It's one of the most, you know, idiotic statements. And I've seen people passionately try to argue that he's not what you ever seen people say, oh no, he's not what he said he is. That's some crazy ass shit, isn't it? You know? Um, and that's what people do. They prefer to say, no, this person is not what he's saying is not true. And they're willing to be doubters and haters and chop down people instead of build them up. And some guys who I think are interesting, like Showbiz the Adult, they try to give you the positive spin on things and show you what these guys have accomplished. And what I need to do though in my channel is a couple things. Uh, I need to get a judge on here to show how judges score fights. Particularly, I may even ask him about some controversial topics that I thought, you know, maybe show a round or two of a fight or something, so that we could get the judge's take on it and something we may have missed. Because, like for example, when the referee scored the knockdown of Eric Walker uh, in his fight with Madrimov, okay, Israel Madrimov, everybody was like, "What the fuck?" That was a clear. Even the zone actually talked about it. That was a clear knockdown. But they did not look at the after effect after he had gotten punched. Israel Madrimov continued on and tackled him down. You know, and you can't do that. You can't do that in boxing. So yeah, he hit him flush, no doubt about that. And he was cracked. You could see his head was, and he was falling backwards. But then Israel fell into him like a tackle because he lost his balance in the leaping left hook, and he banged him and that slammed him into the ground. So when you bang somebody and slam them into the ground, you got to rule that something, because that's a factor in them falling down on the ground and hitting the ground, hitting the canvas hard. Okay. And the guy showed after that knockdown that he did have a hell of a chin, and he didn't get knocked down heavy like that. He got knocked down. Madrimov did knock him down after he was penalized a point actually for a low blow. He did knock him down, and he knocked him down pretty good, but not in the manner that he knocked him down the first time. And yeah, the ref maybe was trying to give Walker the benefit of the doubt. That might be the case, but he was well within his rights to do so, and was a good firm test for Israel Madrimov, which is the whole point behind it. And a lot of people expect boxers, because they're hyped up, to be perfect boxers. That's another thing that's quite interesting in boxing. We as fans are so hard on these guys who really work really hard and are developing themselves, and we get so hard on them. You know what I'm saying? And people don't understand the standards that have been set in boxing. So because people are so used to tearing down the top tier guys in boxing, when guys are on the come up now, they're tearing them down too. And we can't be doing that. That's why I said there's a lot of fucking talking by us as fans. We talk a lot. We don't do shit. All right. I know we're supposed to be entertained, and we don't have to do shit. We're fans. But I mean, if you call yourself a fan of the sport, why are you tearing it down on every turn? Yeah, okay, I get it. Sometimes we get bad decisions. But what about all the other good decisions that happen? We must talk about the bad decisions, but what the fuck about good decisions and all the good things that are happening in boxing? We just ignore all that shit and we start talking negative. And I don't understand it. Like, they never got, and then we don't educate ourselves on boxing, so we don't know what the fuck we really actually watching anyway. We just go along with everybody else and the commentators. We're not watching. We don't understand what the boxers are doing in there. And if we're supposedly supposed to be educated fans, why the fuck we not understanding that? So this is my issue with a lot of people in boxing and the boxing in and of itself. That a lot of you guys, man, you need to like, you know, get your stuff together and stop talking. A lot of y'all talk a lot, and some of y'all talk some real bullshit. Like, I can't believe how stupid some of the fans are. And I say stupid, I mean it. I don't mean to disrespect, but it's stupid in the sense that a lot of the fans out there, a lot of you guys out there don't know what you're watching at all. You don't understand it because you don't understand boxing and you're not trying to educate yourself on the sport. Every other fucking sport that I know about, people educate themselves on the sport and they look at stats and shit like that. Boxing's the only sport where a dumbass could just get up there, say something stupid, and everybody else can just agree with it. And if I blame the commentators a lot for that because they cover the sport and they don't understand what the fuck is going on in the ring. And sometimes, you know, I just wish that the guys who comment on things would at least have done a little bit of boxing, even if it's just practicing boxing or something. Just move your hands or some shit like that because, you know, sometimes they say some of the dumbest ass shit ever. Okay? And you know what was the funny thing? I'm gonna talk about the zone telecast first. They were making this big hullabaloo about the referee's decision, right? They went ham on that shit. The referee explained himself. You know what they said? They said, I don't know what he was saying. And I was like, what the fuck? You wasn't even listening to what the explanation that the guy was giving to the judges, why he did what he did. And you still saying, oh, that was a wrong call? How the fuck you would know? You don't know what he said. And this is the problem we have in boxing. Sometimes people say certain things and people just ignore it. They don't look into it, nothing. And that's okay. But the point is, we should know better as supposedly hardcore boxing fans. If we say we're hardcore boxing fans, we shouldn't sound like fucking casuals then. We should get our shit right. Okay? And that's all I'm saying. That we talk too fucking much. And sometimes we need to listen. Sometimes we just need to try the sport, you know, and do you a load of good. You'll be healthier for it. You don't have to go spar. You could just do the training. You could do the pad work. Just do all the peripheral things. But if you do spar, sucky now. Now you begin to understand what the fuck is really going on in that ring. Because you're going to experience it firsthand. Especially if you're sparring somebody who's a professional in the sport, a professional fighter. It helps a lot because you've been in there mixing it up, right? Not saying going hard or anything like that, but you get a different perspective on everything. You know what I'm saying? Let me give a shout out to certain channels right now. Coach Eric Bradley to fight Dr. Jeff Mayweather. Go check out Jeff Mayweather's channel. Check out also Precision Striking. You can also check out Learn Boxing, I think it's called. And you have World Class Boxing. Check that out. That's with yeah. And then you have it's no longer called A Million Size Boxing, but Barry Robinson is now called How to Be Great. And then you have a bunch of other boxing channels you can check out to understand not just the techniques of boxing, but the mindset, the preparation that is necessary to be able to get in there and compete. So I just want to leave you guys with that. I'm what you need. You gonna catch me, guy. You can catch me later. This is a longer video than I expected, but nonetheless, you can catch me later. I'm gonna be out of there. Peace.